Greek word study methods. Firstly, I am relieved that there is not only one way to study a Greek word. That gives me courage to embark on this process with all of the tools and creativity I can muster. The second of Gorman's 2 opening questions is key. What do the details mean in the big picture, and how does the big picture affect the meaning of the details? Gorman's excellent list of basic questions also leads me to consider what other questions need to be asked that have yet to be asked, perhaps because they're really hard questions or because we might not like the answers we discover. If I were to begin studying a Greek word, I would start by choosing an English word that was not just interesting, but also significant in some way. Mounce uses the image of a bicycle wheel to suggest that a word or words that form a hub, causing a passage to fall apart in their absence, might be a good place to begin. He also suggests choosing a theological term, a repeated word, or a word that doesn't seem to make sense in its usual sense. Gorman uses the image of a puzzle. As a puzzle enthusiast, I envision words that act as border pieces or clusters of words that distinguish themselves in the same way that a cluster of puzzle pieces contain interesting colors or patterns. I am personally drawn to choosing words that fall broadly into 2 categories: words that are significant in the basics of Christian faith, including words that might be hard to define well during a short elevator ride, and keywords that are found in the most controversial and divisive passages of our day, including verses over which church denominations have parted ways. After identifying an English word to study, I would then identify the corresponding Greek word behind the English, per Mounce's suggestion. He notes that this is easy if software is employed. The next step is to discover that Greek word's semantic range. This is the part that energizes and excites me. I would want to read everything I could find on that particular word, heeding the warnings to not utilize out-of-date reference materials, dictionaries, concordances, various translations, word study books, commentaries, etc., understanding that the best tools available to us exist because of the collaboration and hard work of countless scholars down through the centuries. Part of this task for me will necessarily include setting up bookmarks and notes to remind me of which specific materials to turn to and which to avoid. Finally, I would need to decide what my chosen word means in the particular passage I was studying by exploring and examining the content. Finally, I would need to decide what my chosen word means in the particular passage I was studying by exploring and examining the context. Mounce's suggestion of concentric circles is helpful, moving from the verse in question to the paragraph, the book, the New Testament, the entire Bible, and extra-biblical sources. It is important to remember to pay attention to how a word is used in the Septuagint and to be careful when using a cognate to define another cognate, as they usually, but not always, share the same basic meaning. I also appreciate Gorman's emphasis on examining the relationships between the whole and the parts, between various parts, and intertextuality. I would also try to keep in mind common mistakes in order to avoid them, anachronisms, etymological fallacies, and putting too much weight on a single word while forgetting the bigger picture. Continuing with the puzzle analogy, it seems to me that setting out on a Greek word study is akin to piecing together a very large and intricate jigsaw without continually referring to the picture on the box. It's there if I get stuck and don't know which way to go, but what adventures await when I decide to look for colors, patterns, images that are hidden in plain sight, if only I have eyes to see. I would like to further practice the art of selectivity, taking longer looks at even familiar things to see what is really there and not just what I'm expecting to see. I believe God created us to delight in the process and not just the end result of seeking and searching in every arena of life. The Holy Spirit is not just an app or a map. He is the guide of all guides who accompanies our searching while continuing to give us perfect love and freedom. I think that when we start out, we might imagine, as little children do, caught up in vivid imagination, that we're on our own. As we go along and our eyes get accustomed to the variations in light and shadows, we discover that we are but one among many searchers of truth who are engaged in this adventure of adventures. At some point, we hopefully realize that those who have gone before us have left us many tools, clues, warnings, and other resources to help us on our way. Jeremiah 6:16 NRSV. Stand at the crossroads and look, and ask for the ancient paths where the good way lies, and walk in it, and find rest for your souls.